It was a cold night, the kind that makes the wind whistle like something alive. Ryan stood in front of the abandoned circus. The rusted gate creaked open on its own. This place had been shut down for 40 years. Inside, everything was dark. Then suddenly, footsteps, slow, heavy. A man in a clown costume stepped out from the shadows. His smile stretched unnaturally wide across his face. Looking for a worker? Ryan's heart skipped. Yeah, what's your name? Julia Jr. My grandfather worked here. But the clown's eyes, there was no shine, no reflection, just two empty black pits. Ryan hired him anyway, but every night after that, Ryan heard those same heavy footsteps coming from the basement. A basement no one had touched in 4 decades. On the first rehearsal night, the circus hall was silent. A dim red spotlight turned on. Julia stepped onto the stage. Something was wrong with the way he moved, like his bones were all broken and every step made a faint cracking sound. The paint on his face under the red light looked like a dripping blood. He began his act, but with every movement, that sharp bone-cracking sound echoed again. A child in the audience started crying. Julia turned his head toward the kid, but he turned it too slow and too far. The whole crowd froze. Later that night, Ryan watched Julia walk into the dressing room. He stood in front of the mirror. The reflection in the mirror wasn't painted. It wasn't a clown. It was a burned face, melted skin, empty eyes. But when Ryan blinked, the reflection was normal again. But that same night, Mark, the sound technician, disappeared. Ryan heard his scream echoing from the basement all the way until morning. Then, nothing. Silence. The next night, Julia performed a puppet show, but the puppets didn't look like dolls. They looked like humans. One of them looked exactly like Mark. Ryan panicked. He ran to the old storage room and dug through dusty boxes until he found the newspapers. His hands shook as he opened one of the old pages. Deadly circus fire. 7 workers trapped alive. The article said the arsonist locked them in the basement before lighting the match. The arsonist's name? Julia. The clown. He turned to the next article. Julia Jr. dies in car crash 6 months ago. Ryan felt the blood drained from his face. If Julia Jr. was dead, then who or what was performing on his stage? Past midnight, Ryan grabbed a flashlight and went down to the basement. The wooden steps cracked under his weight. The walls were wet, but not with water. Something thicker, darker. At the end of the hallway, a half-open door glowed red from inside. He pushed it slowly. Inside the room, 7 chairs sat in a perfect circle. On each chair, a skeleton wearing burned work clothes. Their mouths were frozen wide open, as if they died mid-scream. Behind him, someone began clapping, slow, mocking. Ryan turned. Julia was standing there. His makeup was peeling off. 40 years. His voice was dry and broken. 40 years, buried under the ground, still breathing, still alive. He took a step closer. Your grandfather fired me after everything I gave this circus. His face twisted with rage. That night, I locked them all here, burned them alive, but I burned with them. He pulled a rusted knife from his vest. Now I need 7 more. He grinned. You first. Ryan panicked, but suddenly he remembered his grandfather's letter. If he ever returns, burn the basement. Fire traps his spirit forever. Ryan's hands trembled as he struck a match. Julia laughed. a horrible cracked laugh that echoed through the whole basement. You think fire scares me now? Ryan threw the lit match onto the old curtains. They burst into flames. Julius screamed, "No, no, not again!" Ryan ran for the tiny window near the ceiling. Julius' scream didn't stop until sunrise. Ryan sat in his apartment when the TV flickered on by itself. Breaking news. A new circus opens in the neighboring town, featuring a mysterious clown performer. The camera showed the clown. Red and white costume, oversized bow tie, widest smile. Ryan froze. Suddenly, the lights in his apartment flickered. He slowly turned around. In the corner of his dark living room, two glowing eyes stared back at him. A too-wide smile formed in the darkness. Julius stepped forward. The screen went black, and the last thing Ryan heard was the clown's broken laugh, getting closer and closer.